Thank you so much for joining us on our news desk on QTV. In our headlines, government has warned that any person who exposes themselves in front of children during traditional ceremonies risks being arrested and prosecuted. An 11-month-old baby has died after being attacked by a dog at a farm his father works on in Mungule area. And the Zambia Congress of Trade Unions has advised government to respect the collective agreement signed with public service unions. And now the news in detail. Government has warned that any person who exposes their nakedness in front of children during traditional ceremonies risks being arrested and prosecuted. Community Development and Social Services Minister Doreen Mwamba notes that traditional ceremonies are appreciated. There is now a growing need to ensure traditional practices are tailored and are responsive to the needs of the child, family, and community. Mrs. Mwamba has stressed the need to be culturally considerate in the way people act during ceremonies, especially in front of children. In a statement, Mrs. Mwamba says the ministry will soon launch the National Safeguarding Framework, which is anchored on Part 17, Section 276 of the Children's Code Act. The minister says the National Safeguarding Framework will provide and require that organizations and institutions working directly or indirectly with children put in place child safety and regulatory guidelines and structures to ensure children are and feel safe in every environment, which includes schools, churches, communities, as well as traditional institutions.
Before I go to my speech, now that we were entertained by that beautiful music, I wanted to just comment and also give guidance. Other people might look at it as a warning. As you all may be aware, last year, my ministry enacted a bill to protect the rights of a child and promote their rights, called Children's Code Bill, Act number 12 of 2022. This bill seeks to promote the rights of children and also protect their rights. Going forward, any adult or any human being who exposes himself in front of children risks being arrested and prosecuted, regardless of our traditions. I hope I've been heard. Any traditional ceremonies where we see people dancing naked or partly naked in front of children risk being arrested and prosecuted.
An 11-month-old baby has died after sustaining multiple dog bite wounds on the head and chest after being bitten by a dog at Rosa Kahia Farms in Mungule area. Police Deputy Public Relations Officer Dan Mwale says the father to the deceased baby, identified as Oliver Siamuzu, age 26, who works at the same farm, told police officers who visited the scene that he had left the dog tied around the doghouse and went to attend to the pigs when suddenly the dog broke loose the chain belt. Mr. Mwale says after breaking loose, the dog went straight to his house where it attacked the baby identified as Cholwe, who was at the veranda. He says the incident occurred on February 26, 2023 at around 18 hours at Rosa Kahia Farms in Mungule area. Mr. Mwale states that the body of the baby was deposited in University Teaching Hospital mortuary awaiting post-mortem and burial. He adds that an inquiry file has been opened in the matter. Meanwhile, police in Mshindano area are investigating a matter where a 3-year-old baby girl was defiled and left tied to a tree in the bush by an unknown man. Mr. Mwale said the incident occurred when the mother to the victim, identified as Frida Mwambo, age 29, left the child sleeping alone around 02 hours while she remained working in a bar. Mr. Mwale says the mother to the child, who also is a commercial sex worker, had given the girl to a friend to take her home while she remained behind. He adds that the friend left the child locked in the house and went back to the bar. Mr. Mali says the duo returned home and found the locking system of the house damaged and the child missing. He states that the duo then rushed to the police and reported the child missing. Mr. Mali says around 14:30 hours, police received a call from members of the public that a child was found in the bush crying and asking for water. He says upon making a follow-up, police picked the child, who was then identified by the mother, and quickly rushed to hospital. Mr. Mali adds that upon inspection, the child had feces on both legs and semen on her private part. He further states that the medical personnel confirmed to the police that the child was defiled. Zambia Congress Trade Union ZCTU President Blake Mulala has advised government to respect the collective agreement which resulted in civil servants being awarded a 10.5% salary increment effective January 1st, 2023. This comes after the Zambia Medical Association ZMA warned that medical doctors would commence nationwide strike from 1st March 2023 following their omission from the 10.5% salary increment for civil servants. Mr. Mulala says failure by an employer to implement the collective agreement is a breach of what was agreed upon. He says the employer is under obligation to implement what was agreed upon during the bargaining process, in this case, government and public service unions.
The bargaining process took place, and if anything, the public service unions, they went to the bargaining table, and they clinched a deal of 10.5%. As far as I'm concerned, the 10.5% was the deal which they clinched. So in a bargaining process, whatever comes out, it must be respected, and that's where both parties agree. As to failure to implement the bargaining process, I think when such issues arise, it's a breach in what has been agreed upon. So our point of view is that there's an obligation by the employers who are supposed to give what was agreed upon during their bargaining process.
Okay.
So the mandate is on the employer to do that.
The Ministry of Health has launched the National Health Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026, aimed at strengthening healthcare systems in the country. Speaking during the launch in Lusaka, Health Minister Sylvia Masebo says it is government's agenda to transform healthcare provision by focusing more on the prevention and efficient delivery system. More in the following report. The Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union of Zambia has questioned the terms and conditions of service government used to transfer permanent secretaries and directors of the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Auditor General to Cabinet Office and the Public Service Management Division following allegations of irregular payment of allowances. Recently, Secretary to the Cabinet Patrick Kangwa announced the transfer of permanent secretaries and directors at the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Auditor General to Cabinet Office and the Public Service Management Division as part of the ongoing investigations into allegations of irregular payment of allowances. The investigations were necessitated by a special audit of the Integrated Financial Management Information System for the period 2018 to 2021. But Union General Secretary Makai Makai tells QTV News in an interview that the best way is to suspend the officers to pave way for independent investigations. Mr. Makai states that in the event that the named officials are found guilty, the due process of the law would take its course, and if they are proven innocent, they would return to the ministry as opposed to transferring them to other departments.
You see, the question is what terms and conditions of service have they used to transfer them? Because if somebody is a thief, you can't transfer a thief to another place that he continues to steal from there. The best, what we know in the public service, is to suspend them. You suspend them to pave way so that they are independent investigations. When they are proved guilty, the due process of the law takes course. When they are proved innocent, they are brought back. But transferring them, I don't know. So where they've been transferred to Cabinet Office, to PSMD, Are they going to be given assignments? Are they going to continue working, or they'll be transferred there to just bundle them there and leave them in suspense, or what? But the best for us would have been suspending them, so that even themselves, they know that we have been suspended to pave way for investigations. And when we are cleared, we shall go back to our offices. Yeah, so for us, the best would have been suspended.
Community Development and Social Services Minister Doreen Mwamba has made an assurance that the Non-Governmental Organizations NGO Act number 16 of 2009 will be operationalized this year. Speaking when she graced the World NGO Day celebrations in Lusaka, Ms. Mwamba says her ministry is closely working with the Council of NGOs and the Ministry of Justice to ensure that the process of replacing and replacement of the NGO Act number 16 of 2009 is completed as soon as possible. Details in the following report.
Today marks World NGO Day, a day in which the country celebrates and commemorates the outstanding role civil society plays in ensuring that fundamental human rights are respected and that no one is left behind. Tamara Nyirenda is Council of NGO Vice Chairperson.
The NGO sector plays a very pivotal role in protecting and respecting fundamental human rights. Marking this day is very important for us. More so as we acknowledge the role that NGOs are playing in contributing to quality service delivery to our communities, strengthening our democratic governance. Zambia, therefore, seeks to join the global community for the first time in 2023 in observing this very important day and providing official recognition to the work and sacrifice of the NGO actors in the development of Zambia. The Council of NGOs in Zambia, whose main mandate is to facilitate and coordinate the work of NGOs operating in Zambia.
When she graced the World NGO Day celebrations, Community Development and Social Services Minister Doreen Mwamba has assured that the Non-Governmental Organizations NGO Act number 16 of 2009 will become law this year.
It is for this reason that my ministry is closely working with the Council of NGOs and the Ministry of Justice to ensure that the process of repeal and replacement of the NGO Act number 16 of 2009 is completed as soon as possible. And I am confident that this bill will become law this year. The ministry remains grateful to the GIZ Civil Society Participation Program, which is now called the GIZ Enabling Access to Justice.
And Technical Organizing Committee member Ges Nyirenda has urged government to honor the promise of ensuring that the Non-Governmental Organizations NGO Act number 16 of 2009 becomes law this year.
In simple language, Honorable Guest of Honor, the NGOs are actually the people. And if you don't listen to the people, it is a challenge that you really call upon yourself. Guest of honor, be informed that currently the biggest enemy of the NGOs is not the lack of resources, neither that it is political or politicians and political parties. It is actually
live facial image. Zambia Information and Communication Authority ZICTA Public Relations Officer Hanford Chava says the need to provide live facial image is meant to enhance security against mobile fraud. Mr. Chava says since August last year, about 6.1 million SIM card holders needed to verify their details, and by mid-January this year, 3.6 million had managed to verify their details. It tells QTV News in an interview that ZICTA expects those that have not done so to live facial capture. Mr. Chava explains that the live facial capture exercise is not SIM card registration, but is intended to add a picture of the subscriber to the SIM card so that it is already registered. He states that all the SIM cards that were registered in 2012 up to around August 2019 do not have live facial pictures because by then the regulator had not given that directive.
The live facial capture. Now, let me clarify one thing here. The live facial capturing exercise is not a SIM card registration as from A to Z, no. A live facial capture is mainly intended to just add a picture of a subscriber basically on the SIM card that is already registered. This is the exercise that we're doing. Your SIM card is already registered, so we're just basically adding another layer of security, which is a live photo picture. Now, when you look at the SIM cards that were registered from 2012 up to somewhere August 2019, those SIM cards do not have a live facial picture. Why? Because by then we had not given that directive. Okay? Now all those SIM cards that were registered or replaced from August 2019 up to where we are, it was mandatory that whenever you go there to register or even to replace a SIM card, you needed to have a live facial capture. So meaning this exercise is mainly targeting those that registered their SIM card in the period 2012 up to 2019 August, because for them the picture was not an issue, it was like a requirement by them. But this time around, with what is happening, the scammers, changes in technology, it becomes important that they undertake the exercise. So those are the ones that we are targeting, and we are happy now that out of the 6.1 that were identified, we are now remaining with 3.3 million SIM cards. And those are the ones that we are giving this opportunity, the window, between now and month end, to ensure that they undertake the exercise and then be able to enjoy the privilege of having secure information.
Government says it is in the process of formulating a labor migration strategy which will greatly assist in labor migration management in the country and ensure the inclusion of refugees and persons of concerns into the labor market. Labor and Social Security Minister Brenda Tambatamba has noted that the organization, if well managed, labor migration has erroneous potential for government, communities, migrants, employers and other stakeholders in the countries of origin and destination. Mr. Tambatamba says that government has committed to cooperate on an international scale to ensure safe, orderly and regular migration, of which labor migration included, is covered under 2 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, that are the particular significance of the decent work and fair management. Speaking when New International Organization on Migration IOM mission chief to Zambia Keisha Livmo paid a courtesy call on her, Ms. Tambatamba says that to secure the rights of migrant workers, government signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU in 2016 with South Africa in order to protect the rights of migrant workers. She says Zambia also has a bilateral labor agreement with the Republic of Seychelles signed in 2019, which has facilitated for the recruitment of about 78 Zambian teachers by that country.
At the regional level, Your Excellency, Zambia is playing a pivotal role in championing matters of labor migration. Zambia played host to officials from Ethiopia and Eswatini on 1st October 2022 and 10th of October 2022, respectively. The study visits were aimed at drawing lessons to learn from the government of Zambia so as to assist them to develop regional strategies for themselves to manage safe, orderly and regular migration and avert human trafficking. In conclusion, Your Excellency, Zambia looks forward to forging stronger synergistic partnerships with IOM to, among other things, focus on the following. A. Strengthening labor migration governance through policy and bilateral labor agreements. B. finalizing formulation of labor migration strategy, and C, continuous capacity building. The competences are very important. This is a special field, and so when we talk capacity building, we are saying the world is moving. There are specific, specialized competencies that we need to expose our labor officers to and inspectors on labor migration and human trafficking. Your Excellency, the Ministry looks forward to cooperating with you in ensuring that the projects being supported by IOM are executed within stipulated timeframes, and my office is ready to work with your team to realize the objectives of the projects. May I end by emphasizing on the need to explore other areas of cooperation such as technical support and provision of equipment and logistics for the effective management of migration matters, as this topic has indeed become very topical on the Zambian space over the past few years, especially in the recent past. Once again, I wish to welcome you to my office, and please let us meet often to exchange ideas on how we could forge effective collaborative activities between our two institutions.
And the International Organization on Migration IOM Mission Chief to Zambia, Keisha Levmo, has pledged the organization's commitment to support government as it formulates the labor migration strategy.
For your commitment to managing migration, ensuring that it's safe and orderly for those who transit through this country or travel to, as well as for Zambians going overseas. You have ably spoken of many achievements that the government has seen over the last few years. Some of these we are very proud to have partnered with you, and the commitment that you have shown has been communicated to me even before I arrived. So congratulations on the development of the policy, and of course we commit to supporting the government as you develop the strategy for labor migration. Again, thank you so much for your cooperation and partnership. It is well appreciated. IOM commits to supporting the Ministry of Labor, not only in terms of building or supporting the improvement of capacity amongst key staff or the development of the strategy, but in any other way that we deem necessary, and by we I mean both the Ministry of Labor and IOM. We look forward to the development of the strategy, as I think this will lead us to the road that we need to take and will ultimately strengthen the relationship between the organization and the government of the Republic of Zambia, and by extension the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. We also look forward to exploring other areas of cooperation and collaboration, and I hope that this meeting is just the beginning of things to come.
Chief Samba of the Unga-speaking people in Lunga district of Lapula province has received the news that going forward government will start arresting any person exposing themselves in front of children during traditional ceremonies with mixed feelings. Community Development and Social Services Minister Doreen Mwamba has warned that any traditional ceremony where people dance partly naked in front of children risk being prosecuted. Chief Nsamba says it is very difficult to change a culture that belongs to a certain community. He tells QTV News in an interview that it will require time to change a culture that people believe in.
When you are talking of culture is a culture, and for somebody to change what culture belongs to a certain community is very difficult. It's very difficult. I'm sure even if such a pronouncement has been made, as I said earlier, we cannot change culture. The culture that people believe in, I think for it to be changed suddenly, it requires the time. If at all is a bad culture, we say, if it is portrayed as a bad culture, government should be able to speak to the people involved, especially against as traditional leaders. We are the one who do hold such service. Let the government come and speak to us as their Royal Highnesses. They have seen or they have known our traditional ceremonies, and where such is happening, they know. Let them go and approach their Royal Highnesses where such practices are being practiced and talk to them. Yeah, if at all they want their Royal Highnesses to change something which they don't see as something good, which is not doing well within the country.
Minister of Green Economy and Environment Collins Nzovu says alternative livelihoods among people is critical in the mitigation against climate change. Speaking when he visited 20 women group in Chipangali district, Mr. Nzovu called upon the beneficiaries of the Zambia Integrated Forest Landscape Project, ZIFLP, to use their money wisely by investing in productive ventures and form cooperatives so that they can benefit from government empowerment programs. He expressed happiness on the fish project implemented by the women, stating that such alternative sources of income should be scaled up in other provinces to help reduce deforestation rate in the country, which is at high rate of 275,000 hectares per annum. Mr. Nzovu informed the beneficiaries that his ministry will engage the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock to inquire on the possibility of acquiring a bigger portion of land to increase the number of fish ponds, as the existing land is too small for any further expansion. The Zambia Institute of Planners has called on government to consider organizing an endeavor to discuss how best the issue of flooding in the country can be addressed. Institute President Wosiku Sulwe says the endeavor should bring together the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU, local authorities, Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA, Water Resources Management Authority WAMA, Zambia Institute of Planners, among others. Mr. Sulwe tells QTV News in an interview that the country needs long-term solutions to the problem of flooding. He says climate change has come to stay, thus the need for the country to come up with measures that will mitigate the impact of flooding the country is experiencing.
Arrangement of spaces to actually economic development. How do we ensure that the roads that the government is prioritizing for development are actually the roads that are supposed to be prioritized? Are the roads that we are doing now merely political pronouncements because the ruling party now has shifted? So do we expect that different roads will be done in the strongholds for the political areas? Is that the narrative that is there under the guise of them being, economical in nature? Because every road someone can argue that it's an economic road, as well if we needed to justify it, So we need to look at how do we justify that this road is of priority more than this road, right? And through the urbanization policy, those trends are going to be identified. And when those trends are identified, then government can easily say, no, we are making this decision based on this empirical data. Right now, many people think that the pronouncements that sometimes government makes as a result of just people thinking and then saying things are going to happen this way. What we also need to maybe do as a country is to improve our research function. I think most of the decisions look to be impulsive, most of the decisions look to be politically motivated. But if we as a country are going to support the research function, then we should be able to be in a very good position to make informed decisions, because then if we are going to do the dual carriageway, the Lusaka and Ndola dual carriageway, then we know that this is the economic benefits that it has. Most of the time the benefits that we see are we think that the benefits are there, definitely. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done, but I'm saying that decisions that have to be done, I think we have to do a research and we should have empirical.
Msokotwane Compassion Mission Zambia, MCMZ, has called on government to immediately begin the implementation of free sanitary ware distribution across public and private schools as pronounced on 15th December 2021 by Minister of Community Development Doreen Mwamba. MCMZ Executive Director Genius Msokotwane says free sanitary ware will play a critical role in improving girls' education, health, and also widening their economic opportunities as they go into adulthood. Mr. Msokotwane adds that the fulfillment of this exercise is a basis for the country to have in the near future women and girls less likely to endure poverty, hunger, and violence. He has also called on journalists and civil society leaders to hold government accountable over the free sanitary ware distribution and other pronouncements made in Parliament that advance the welfare of women and girls and the attainment of sustainable development goals.
If you recall, on the 15th of December 2021, the Minister of Community Development, Honorable Doreen Mwamba, did mention that government has actually put aside funds under the CDF to ensure that there is free sanitary ware for all girls across the country, regardless of their geographical location. And unfortunately, this has not come to practice. And we want to take this opportunity to send a reminder to government to immediately embark on distribution of free sanitary ware, especially for rural girls, beginning 1st of March 2023. This will also help in ensuring that we improve on girls' education and health, and also widen their economic opportunities, and also reduce chances of having adults or women that will endure poverty, hunger, and violence in the near future.
We now take
Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has said Taipei will boost military exchanges with the United States at a time when tensions with Beijing remain high. The cooperation with the United States has picked up pace, especially since the start